to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is Friday, January 30th, 2026. Okay, so I've got a fair amount of tweets for you, but as always, this is not financial advice. This is all just my biased opinions based on the tweets that come across my desk. Now, as I said, I've got quite a bit for you today, so let's kind of get right into it and see what I can get done in the 30 minutes that I try to allocate to this. But anyhow, let's get right into it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to highlight here is Ramses, or like I like to say, Rameses. They're upgrading again. Okay, so first of all, Ramses is a VE33 Dex. You can think of it kind of like Velodrome or Aerodrome. However, it's significantly different now. I have a video here on Shadow Exchange X33, which is basically a licensed fork of the tech. And this X33 is the significant difference of, they don't use VE NFTs anymore. They use these X3 tokens. And they're like fungible ERC20 tradable tokens and stuff like that. So you can check out that video to understand how the underlying system works, okay? But Ramses is so it licenses its tech out. So there are many Ramses licensed forks, but is also Ramses itself, which is on Arbitrum, Polygon, and Hype EVM. And however, so what this article here is talking about is they're going to unify these. So first of all, the Arbitrum is the oldest instance of Ramses, and they are going to upgrade it basically. So there's a few key things in here. Number one, this is fantastic here. So instead of like having to vote, so most voting systems, right? Most automated voting systems force you to buy they auto compound the underlying token. So most people don't want to just get more and more, like in this case, Ramses or the reward token. Even though, so people are like, for me, example, like I don't use these auto voting vaults because I don't want to just take all my voting rewards and turn them into more Ramses tokens, right? Or Aerodrome tokens or Velodrome tokens or whatever. But most of them do that. So whereas with this one, if you do use this auto vote, it's going to take care of the voting for you, but you get to select what kind of reward token. Oh, I want ETH, I want Hype, USDC, USDT, BTC, whatever that happens to be. That's way more appealing to me. Like, I don't want more RAM tokens. I'll put my XRAM in here, and I'll farm more RAM, and I'll put more in, depending on how much I want to sell or keep or what have you. And then I will get ETH out or USDC or whatever the reward token I decide is what I want out. This is fantastic. This is like what people want, right? So they're giving people what they want. Okay. The second thing here is they're changing the RAM token into a layer 0 omni-chain fungible token. So all of the Ramses tokens on all of the chains will be the same fungible token. So all like the entire token supply will sit on mainnet Ethereum, and then there will be tokens, the reward tokens will go out to these other chains. So it'll be the same token across all instances of Ramses, which is something I'm very interested in as well to see. Anyhow, so that's simply that. So this basically talks about how that's going to work. And then the last thing is that I want to show is this sarcophagus, which is like a little bit of the fees. So 5% of the LP fees will always be thrown into this little contract, right? And this little contract will be triggerable as a public, like someone can trigger it. Now it's obviously going to be like they say MEV searchers, bots, right? Yeah, no one's going to have the ability to front run them. So these MEV bots or these searchers, they'll trigger it once in a while, and it'll take all those fees and buy the Ramses token and burn it. So the idea is that the Ramses token will actually be deflationary as long as those fees outdo the inflation. And sometimes they will be extremely lucrative fees because, times of great volatility produce a lot of fees, and then that 5% of those lot of fees will be a lot of buyback in burns, right? And then there will be times where volatility is very low and those fees will be low, and maybe the token will not be deflationary at that time. So it's not, a predictable deflationary schedule. However, being permissionless deflationary is pretty fantastic. Okay, so you can read through this article. I will connect it. There's a few little other things in here, little things that I didn't mention, but you can read through it if you want. And as always, I remind you that I do have this video on Shadow Exchange, which will explain the difference between the VE NFT and this X3 model. Okay, so you can watch that video and get a deeper understanding. Let's move on. So here we have the Fed chair nominee, Kevin Warsh, on Bitcoin. He's being interviewed by this guy, and he's bullish Bitcoin. He likes Bitcoin. As a new Fed chair, he's basically saying not everybody needs to use Bitcoin, or the government needs to use Bitcoin, but we can look at Bitcoin. The Fed should be looking at Bitcoin, because maybe not Bitcoin as much as Bitcoin's great and stuff, but they should definitely be looking at the models that crypto is using in order to create, example, like I just said, Ramses is creating a deflationary reward token. The government can totally use crypto. I did a little article a little while ago. Let me open that up. If I click through it, it's probably the only article I have on here. So this, CBDCs are good. You can check this out. It's my article. And I basically talk about how the government should look at crypto to kind of better their system. You know what I mean? Maybe not voting and stuff like that, but buybacks and burns. The government can actually do this. They can have a predictable inflation schedule based on exact things. We could even go as much to call it democracy, a democratic. Now, it's never going to happen. This guy's never going to give the power of the Fed to the people. However, there are lots of lessons in crypto that they can kind of go to and learn from it. Because let us do our experiments and then see what works, and then they can kind of take those nuggets of gold, those diamonds that we've found, and add them to the system that the Fed is using. So I don't know if he's going to go that deep. Maybe he's just going to he's got some Bitcoin bags and he's going to shield them a little bit, but I don't know. But I think it's all good that he's not Bitcoin is poison, right, or toxic, or what have you. And it could be for the US dollar monetary system, but I think we've proven now that crypto and the US dollar are pretty aligned, right? The people who use crypto, they love their USD stable coins. So I think we're pretty safe in that sense, and they're getting more and more compliant and so forth. But let's move on. So there's my article. You can check that out if you want. So Ted Pillows. Sometimes this guy, I don't know where he sits, okay, but look at this. So if you invested $1,000 in 2016, if you BTC, you'd have $100,000. ETH, you'd have 2 million. And then these other stocks, you'd have less than $50,000. Okay, so all of it's pretty good, I guess. Not bad, but it's. You looking back, it's kind of hindsight is 2020, and also it doesn't help you to look back too much. You can look back and kind of think about what is, revolutionary and what is major changing, and and learn from the past. But you can't really dwell on it. You got to kind of think about today and tomorrow and the next couple of years. What do you think is gonna do the best? Okay, so let's moving on. Here I have Liquidity. Liquidity's post here. So they've done it. He's done it, another interview. As always, like I said, I'm pretty biased on Liquidity. I've long loved these guys. I have Liquidity positions and so forth. And so I think it's very great to see the CEO Michael here is doing lots of little reach outs and interviews with individuals and entities in the space, kind of kicking up marketing a little bit to get this bold stable coin. It's pretty good because, in my opinion, it's unfreezable. It's unstoppable, unchangeable, US dollar. Now, maybe this word bold kind of kind of throws people off once in a while. It's not a volatile asset. It's a US dollar stablecoin, and it's completely backed only by ETH, and it's immutable. So I got a video on it. I explain it. You can check out my video if you want and understand how this thing works. But anyways, I do think you can watch through this article too, where he talks about, this video where he talks a little bit more about like the ethos of it and why it's so good. He's not just shilling his like governance token at all. He doesn't even talk about the governance token. So anyhow, and it's not really even a governance token. So anyhow, let's move on. Okay, so here we have an article by Trading Tulips. Being gay and retarded in relation to Bitcoin dominance. I'll admit it was like clickbait, like this whole gay and retarded. And you kind of go through here and you can read through his article. It's very short. But in essence, what he's saying is that like Bitcoin dominance is probably going to go down. Look, well, it maybe not probably. He says it's possible. Okay, it's not impossible that Bitcoin dominance will go down because Bitcoin does nothing. It's a store of value. You can think of it maybe to say it uses like wasted electricity and stores that as value. There is that, there is that, but like things like Ethereum or even Solana or Sonic or all of these other chain coins, they have thriving ecosystems with use case. Now, maybe Sonic's I wouldn't say a thriving ecosystem, but they all have these use cases, utility, and they are actually have users and they're generating revenues. People are using the services that are put onto these chains. So will your shitcoin, your meme coin pump? Probably not. I don't know, maybe, right? Will your DeFi protocol token pump? Maybe, I believe a little more likely because it at least is doing something. And will your, L1 gas token pump, specifically Ethereum, in my opinion? I believe 100% yes. Like, I'm not selling any Ethereum here. I do have like some concentrated liquidity positions, so I can't say that with all honesty that I'm not selling nothing here because when you're an LP or you are a trader, I am selling and buying. But the vast majority of my ETH is put into CDPs or liquid staking tokens, okay? Or both. Moving on, so you can read through Flying Tulip's article here. Fu has a tweet here that made me kind of think a little bit, okay? I read it, and then I think about it, and I don't really know what to say about it, but let me read it, okay? I'll never accept online casino sponsorship because I think it would encouraging soul poison. So this is like what I've been doing. Like, yes, I'm running this podcast and I am reaching out to individual protocols and asking for sponsorships. So I am asking for this, but I'm not going to anyone and everyone. I'm specifically selecting protocols that I like and feel comfortable using and am aligned with their ethos. So that's what he's kind of getting at. So let's say, why don't you end your friendships with those that do? I don't really. So basically he's saying like, why don't you like stop talking to those people who just take anyone as a sponsor, right? And then because that isn't the way you influence people or lead by example, maybe hurdling incentives could work on an individual level, maybe not. But on a cultural level, you've got to just live your integrity as example. So yeah, like just if you believe that crypto is a scam and you just want to get like whatever money out of it as possible, then you're comfortable probably taking money from any scam, rug pull, or shilling any, just team that does anything like that, right? And if you have integrity, you'll do things like what I'm doing, like specifically selecting those protocols, those sponsorships or those fundings that you believe are in it for the ethos or the tech or whatever you want to call it. Like I choose the teams that I'm literally specifically choosing teams that I'm reaching out to. And the sponsors that I do have right now are teams that I'm more than happy with supporting because I know they're not scams and rugs and so forth. So you can kind of look at Bitcoin's little speech, and I agree with him. I will, like, you can just find it, right? I'm not going to share it exactly. So Curve Finance CRV-USD is pretty straightforward. Ever wondered why the roller coaster of the peg would look like? So it's pretty pegged on, as you can see. It's kind of sitting around $1, quite comfortable. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because, like, recently I've been talking about this trustless force. So that's, if you go trustless force, this pinkish purple thing, and it is CRV-USD is part of that trustless force. And recently, I kind of decided to start using CRV-USD. And as always, like I said, I do have a video on it. I think so. Ceazor snack sandwich. Let's see, CRV-USD. Let's see if it works. Yeah. So CRV-USD. So you can check out this video. Now it's 2 years old, so there are obviously upgrades and changes and stuff. But the main thing is this soft liquidation decentralized stablecoin. So there are quite a few opportunities on Curve, this Curve Finance CRV-USD. So if you go to curve.finance and then you click on up at the top Llama Lend, you can go through and you see there are quite a few markets here where you can either lend or mint. I would highly suggest you check them out. There is a lot of opportunity to supply this CRV-USD to different markets as well, to get nice decent APRs on other chains as well as on mainnet and so forth. So you can check it out. I think I've opened some positions myself and I'm happy with them and not afraid as much on them. Now, again, I'm being very conservative with them and so forth. So let's moving on. So here we have Johnny Time. Johnny Time is a long time I'm a long time follower of this guy. He doesn't do a lot of tweets. He's kind of like he's a YouTuber, but he's a dev focused YouTuber, so he talks more about coding and specific coding stuff. Okay, so here he is talking about smartcontractshacking.com. I don't know, I've never been there, but like, let's read what it says. So we've stripped away the noise to focus on what matters: a path from junior to auditor, cleaner reading, better mobile experience, and zero distractions. So earn your SSCH certificate. So, you know, in the modern day, I don't think certificates are the most necessary thing anymore. Definitely, like, you know, you just need skills, right? You don't really need a piece of paper, especially in crypto, right? You don't need to say, look, I've got a degree or I've got a certificate in auditing. Can I audit your protocol? You just join these bug bounties, right? Now, you do need the skills, though. And so if you join, like, if you check out this course and this is something you're interested in, I've got no sponsorship or affiliation from them, but if you do check out this course, and it's definitely going to make you a better auditor, and being a better auditor will allow you to achieve more bug bounties or more auditing contests, and make you a better auditor, and you'll know the formatting of how to, like, you know, how to give reports, and maybe even some tooling on how to streamline the process of creating your auditing reports or what have you. So I think it's it's interesting checking out. Whether, I don't know how much it costs, I don't know if it's worth it, but you can definitely check it out if you're a smart contract developer and looking to upgrade your auditing skills. Okay, moving on. So Binance has done an open letter. I did not read this open letter, and I don't plan on it because I don't use Binance and I don't have any tokens on it. But I think it's a result of some quite a bit of FUD that's been coming out recently on Binance, because Binance has been there's been some things. Like yesterday I shared that thing where the guy lost all his money and he can prove that, like, the liquidation timing things is mismatched. And then, you know, you can read through this open letter and find out. I'll probably read it maybe when I have some time, but I haven't read it yet, and I've got more important things to do. But let's look at the two next tweets, and then there is more Binance FUD. Okay, so Binance so Simon Didick is posted this. Was wondering how I suddenly got liquidated on my Mega ETH long. I opened weeks ago. Thought I was just a terrible trader, but turns out Binance launched futures and liquidated everybody. The reason we can't have nice things again, CZ. So yeah, so he opened this long here, and then they opened this futures. I don't understand exactly how a futures like can dump so much. Like, doesn't it need to, like, when they open a market, doesn't it open at like zero supply, and then people have to buy it up? But I guess people can, with futures, they can short even though they don't have, right? And they just short it, and like millions of dollars shorting, even though they don't have the tokens to dump. They just shorting, right, with these futures, and they just push the price down and liquidate everybody, right? And then so here we have Mega Adavark saying basically the same thing. Mega ETH down 25% on Binance pre-market listing. We don't hate Binance enough. So yeah, like that's kind of like, obviously that's like market manipulation in some ways. Like I don't like this whole idea of pre-market like trading. Like you can do pre-market on Binance, you can do it on Hyperliquid, and then you can also do it on prediction markets, right? You can bet on what is the price going to be like, blah, 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 on a prediction market. But I don't really like this idea. I'm not this kind of person that's like thinks it's a good idea to trade pre-market tokens. But that's just me. You do you, and I'd much rather just be comfy LPing and DeFi APR farming with my ETH and USD coins and stuff like this. So you do you and I'll do me, but like, yeah, it's a little more FUD for Binance, a little more hate, and Binance opening this letter to say, oh, well, don't worry, we're okay, right? But anyhow, let's moving on. So here we have Yearn Finance. Long time fan of Yearn. And I've always tried to support them and use them as much as I can. Yearn is a juggernaut, but that's a good thing. Okay, so you'll see Yearn does not expand as fast as like other Vault protocols, and they're not as fast and as agile, but that's because they have like a council of assessment. So like when something wants to launch, they go through a process of peer reviewing each other, and then like basically vetting the security. Now, are they perfect and flawless? No, they have had hacks, but I feel much safer using Yearn than I do using almost anything, especially Vaults. Okay, so here it says Suhail Cryptonomink, whatever his name is. He says, seems like Yearn is cooking lately. Have been testing an on-chain score for DeFi assets internally for a while now, and Yearn is consistently reporting high scores alongside assets like Pendle and Morph. And for APY, TVL volume bonuses shipping soon, and he ain't wrong. The kitchen is 24/7. So yeah, check it out. I don't know what this thing is, this portal thing that he's shipping soon, and he's got like a picture here and like these scores and these different like opportunities, right? So anyhow, you can check it out and find out what this guy's doing. But as always, I'm more than happy to chill or to talk about Yearn in my podcast. Okay, so moving on, here we have Lido. I've got two tweets regarding this Lido thing. So Lido version 3, is live. You can read through this blog on Lido. So there's quite a few here. Let me read through a few of these. So historically, forced trade-offs: pooled liquid staking, easy to use, great liquidity, DeFi utility, but limited customization. Bespoke staking, control policies, but illiquidity and operationally complex. So ST Vault resolved this dilemma. Teams can customize what matters: operator selector, policies, fees, reward logic, risk parameters, while preserving access to shared liquidity layer via ST ETH. So they've got these new vaults, and they're a little more customizable. So institutions can kind of maybe make whitelist vaults, node operators. So move beyond one-size-fit-all delegating, staking. ST vaults enable differentiated offerings with flexible fee structures, APR models. Like these vaults, maybe I need to take a deeper look at these vaults and kind of do a tweet on them. And there is a docs, of course, you can dig a little bit deeper. I kind of ignored them because they come with a fee. Like, why would I put my ST ETH in there when I can just hold ST ETH, right? But anyways, they do have some fees. However, the next tweet says that like, oh, it's the same tweet. Anyhow, so they did have a tweet. I've lost it. Sorry, I don't know where it was. It must be here, right? No. Anyhow, so they did have a tweet that said like because the staking queue is so big that they've turned off these trading fees. Let me see if I can find it. Let's do it quick. Oh yeah. No, I don't want to spend too much time scrolling for you. But anyhow, yeah. So they've turned the fees to 0% for the time being because they want people to still use it. They want more people to add some ETH to it, and they're basically not charging any fees for the time being. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is Vitalik here. Vitalik has laid out this long thing. He's got an article, and you can read through that article. But in essence, the key takeaway here is he has withdrawn 16,000 ETH, and he's going to use this ETH to incentivize these two things. Okay, so let me read through them. And he's not the most accessible writer, but let's read through it. Deliver an aggressive roadmap that ensures Ethereum's status as a performant and scalable world computer that does not compromise on robustness, sustainability, and decentralization. So the possibility is, basically paying devs to plan and build and make Ethereum great, right? As it already is, but to continue to do so, okay? And then ensure the Ethereum Foundation's own ability to sustain into the long term and protect Ethereum's core missions and goals, including both the core blockchain layer as well as users' ability to access and use the chain with self-sovereignty, security, and privacy. So, yeah, so he's going to basically fund the Ethereum Foundation in order to, build more, as well as, public goods like Etherscan, for example, or RPC nodes, and all these kind of things that you take for granted that are free and part of using a blockchain. They are not free, right? There is cost to them, but the foundation or entities like Gitcoin grants and stuff like that are they are funding these things. So there are people who care about this, and basically what he wants is Ethereum to be usable everywhere by anyone, like permissionlessly. And in order to do that, you can't have every little thing be business modeled. Everything cannot be based on the business model, because then you cut corners. Like we all know about corporations who care about only one thing: stock price, stock value, because they are literally like responsible for it. It's illegal for them not to care about the stock price. So because of that, what do? They cut corners. They stop, like for example, McDonald's stopped frying French fries in tallow because it's cheaper to use this like basic motor oil, right? Like canola oil and stuff. Now, there is some question whether or not it's healthier and all that kind of stuff, but it's just an example of how corporations cut corners. The users or the consumers are the people who pay the price of these cut corners, and it's all because the stockholders want more revenue or more higher price. Okay, so I've always liked Vitalik and his goals and his ethos. So you can read through this, like how he writes, right? Probably. But anyhow, that's it for today. I hope this has been interesting and useful, and I did get it in on 30 minutes, which is fantastic. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.